other bloggers like SAS or like Thinking Pinoy, who initiated the move to discover who Pinoy Ako blog is actually is. Okay. On the other hand, okay, what is your reading, attorney, on this series of events? Sabi ni Nikki Serralvo. One, Pam crying emails got hacked. The following day, Jover admits she's Pinoy Ako blog. Philippine Star gave voice to Jover, a platform for live interview, and then the BBC interview. Well, of course, you know, when you set a series of events in that sequential order, obviously you have a point there. But let's begin. We did not discuss Bam's alleged revelation. The only reason I did that is because Thinking Pinoy had already taken apart that and had given his opinion, which I agree with, although I would not have phrased it as colorfully as he did. What TP did was he questioned why Senator Aquino would consider these accounts as hacked. Because generally hacked accounts, once an email account is opened and the information has been breached, generally a hacker will change the password so that the real owner of that email, that email account will no longer be able to access it. So also, it seems rather questionable to go to have a press conference and claim to everybody that these emails were hacked when all you have are draft emails that you claim the owners did not originally write. Why does this sound suspicious? The other thing that you did not include, Nikki, is that a week or two ago, the AFP announced that they did discover that there are in fact ouster moves against the president. So that might also be something else to consider in this series of events. What do I think about it? Well, I think that 2 circumstances might be a coincidence, but 3 is certainly not. So, but let us see. Right now, there is reasonable grounds to be suspicious of these consequential activities. Bakit ang dali naman naging international media streams itong si Jover? Well, of course, the obvious answer to that would be that she has access to it. The question is how she has access to it. The general suspicion is that she's working together with some government officials aligned with the opposition, and that her access was facilitated through that oppositionist party. Let's see. I think that it's reasonable to think that, but I personally would like to wait for more information. Nevertheless, it does seem highly suspicious. Dij Panget says, buti pa po kayo nila sa TP na pagtanggol ang administration pero ang PCOO parang wala. Excuse me, I'm with PCOO but I'm with ASEC Mocha. If may libel case ka, tinatanong ni Renka, and proven guilty, pwede ka pa ba mag-take ng bar? Well, the general rule is no, because, well, it depends no, on what the penalty is. Kasi if the penalty has what we call moral turpitude, then there's a huge likelihood that you will no longer be allowed to take the bar. You will effectively be debarred. But until you're convicted, then you only have to disclose to the Supreme Court that you have pending cases. At least that's how it was when we took the bar. Angelo Chonko says, attorney, please enlighten people how RevGov works. How does this work? Can PRD just declare it? What does it mean when he needs to first declare a coup against his own government? Okay. Angelo is correct in characterizing RevGov as a coup against your own government. The way it had been proposed by some social media advocates is that the president will declare, will dissolve Congress and suspend, I guess, the Supreme Court, and then declare the civil service vacant except for some of the necessary services, and then change everything. That is the general rule. The pattern being after the revolutionary government of 1986. The 1986 government, transition government, removed, continued the services of the courts, but took out the legislative, and of course abrogated the entire executive except for the president, who then proceeded to assign OICs, or officers in charge of the government, various government agencies, as well as the local government units. The Cory government was immediately recognized internationally, thus establishing its legitimacy. The problem with a RevGov that happens artificially and unilaterally is declared by the president, we might have trouble being recognized by foreign governments, and therefore it will be difficult to establish legitimacy if it is not preceded by an event such as that which we could characterize as a revolution. So what they call RevGov is like a change in government without an actual revolution. So I think there might be some difficulty in establishing the legitimacy of that revolutionary government. However, just recently the president announced that, as he had always announced during the elections, that if he cannot control or discipline some aspect of governance, then he will be compelled to declare a revolutionary government. The president is far more careful than those who are calling for RevGov, because it is very clear that he will not declare a revolutionary government unless it has become impossible. So this would mean that if the society is characterized by either widespread criminality that cannot be controlled, which would call for the use of extraordinary powers, such as, for instance, martial law in cases of rebellion or invasion. But clearly this is beyond martial law. So the circumstances have to be present. Remember to listen to the president, because as a lawyer, he understands what needs to be done in order to establish the legitimacy of a subsequent revolutionary government in case the circumstances should warrant it. Okay. General rule, I would be against a RevGov if the circumstances do not warrant it. But the president has stated very clearly if the circumstances warrant it. So that's where we should put our attention. Joe Black says, we just need to conduct a huge rally to call out the president to declare RevGov. Same lang naman yan with EDSA. EDSA was just a rally. I disagree with EDSA being just a rally. It began as a coup attempt. So it means that there were movements by various forces in government. It wasn't just the people who were moving. Were it not for the actions of former Defense Minister Juan Ponce Enrile and former PC Chief Fidel Ramos, this was what precipitated a turn of events. Remember that it was Cory calling out for people to protect them, that people gathered in the streets, as well as the call out by Cardinal Sin at the time. Anton de Jesus asks, if makakasuhan po siya, pwede na siyang hindi sumagot sa mga tanong sa kanya pagdating sa Senate hearing. I don't think she will, even if she's sued right now, it will still go through preliminary investigation. So she still will be compelled to go to the Senate hearing. At any rate, even if she has a case, she can be called by the Senate to testify. The problem lang is if there is an ongoing case, she can claim that, either she has already given testimony in the previous proceeding and just submit her affidavits to the Senate, so she doesn't have to answer, doesn't have to make a repeated narration, but she can still be compelled to attend. The question na nga lang is, if it is being tried by the courts, how it's going to affect it, and if she's going to claim the right to, to see to it that whatever she says does not affect the proceedings in the trial court. Possible ba si Kokoy? Sorry, that went too fast. For those who are not able to read, you'll have to repeat your comment. We're just going through bakit po puro simula lang ang Senado? Yung tungkol sa 7 deadly sins, umikot na at parang wala na. No, that's not true. Senator Grace po was not able to terminate the hearing at the last hearing because Kokoy Dayaw did not appear. And he was the primary impetus for calling that hearing. So it's not that puro umpisa. Senator Grace po did announce that there's supposed to be another hearing. And in this next hearing, we can ask Senator Grace po, or petition Senator Grace po, to also call the other bloggers who posted an article, the Kokoy Dayaw article, or an article similar to that, claiming that the 7 senators deliberately did not sign the resolution, and the blogs that characterized that as a refusal to sign. The senators have said that it wasn't a refusal to sign, they were just unaware of the resolution or were not given enough time to do so. Ana Lea Bistid Emilia says, right to self-incrimination. Well, that right is available at any time that a person is compelled to answer. Okay, parang ang konti ng questions. Is personal data acquired from a public site legal? Okay, if personal data is readily available, remember when you set up a blog or you fill up forms online, there's usually a disclaimer, or the data processor, the personal information collector will usually say that they promise not to give out the information, etc. However, the person who has given that data or that information is also aware of how that information can be accessed. For example, there's some that they're told that the administrator's name can be put to private and not be accessible if they pay a certain fee. So the owner or administrator of a site is usually aware of what information is readily available. Her beef with the holder or the personal data controller or collector should be that she should be better informed, and she could say that. But if it is readily available and she's aware of that, then that may be considered a waiver on her part. Chi Santos says, why do you think Hilbay wants to handle Jover's cases? Do you think he knows about her libelous posts? I think that an attorney and client relationship is personal and one of trust. So I think it's because Attorney Hilbay is well aware of what she's going through. Attorney Hilbay has made it clear that he is handling the case as an issue, as a constitutional issue of the right to privacy, and he says the right to remain anonymous is inherent in the right to free speech. Of course, we will contest that, but let's see, that is his clear defense or clear statement of his case against the other bloggers. I disagree, but we will discuss that later when we see more of Attorney Hilbay's case. Estong Pimentel asks, pwede po bang ipatawag rin si Jover sa next Senate hearing? I don't see why not, because she also posted the 7 deadly sins or an article similar to that one. Somebody asked if PP is liable in the case to be filed by Jover. Well, we don't know yet what case she is filing, so we will not be able to say that. But right now, if she claims that she's filing under the Data Privacy Act, then I don't think so, not on its face. But we have to see, until we see a complaint actually filed by Ms. Jover, then we can't say if first there is a crime or two, who is liable for that crime. Straw Hat says, possible ba na Kokoy may be dead? Well, I want to think not, para wala na silang ma-interrogate. But possible scenario kaya yon para ma-blame nila yung administration. Well, if you're going to think conspiracy theories, then of course anything is possible. But I would like to think that human life is a little more expensive than that. Gillian Nev says, do you think PCOO should be more proactive and not just be reacting belatedly to destructive criticisms and these stab attempts? I think that, remember that the President also had issued a directive that the PCOO should be not belligerent. So they're also complying with that. Attorney, will TP be held liable? On the face of Jover's Lawyer's statements, I don't see yet a case against a thinking Pinoy. So we will see. We will see. Right now you can't tell because you can't see any complaints. It is also possible that Ms. Laurio is making statements about filing cases to send what we call a chilling effect, to make people stop talking badly about her, because people will now be afraid of being sued for libel. So her statement that she will file libel suits is essential so that she can get some relief from all the what she believes are detrimental messages and painful messages and posts against her. Ms. Jover also should take into consideration the fact that she had made similar posts before, and that this may be a natural consequence of that. Possible lahat ng andun sa mga picture ay sila lahat nasa likod ng blogs ng mga anti-Duterte. Well, I agree that that is possible. Also, her conversations or her posts seem to indicate a more than just passing acquaintance with the politicians and former government officials that she had posed with. So definitely we can show some kind of relationship. Whether or not that relationship is pursuant to her putting up a blog, we will see, because if I'm not mistaken, there should be also an investigation into this. Vince Osmilio asks, Attorney, what would happen if PAB is sued by multiple or different persons in different courts? Well, if it's for libel, then libel is personal. So for example, Ms. Sasot files in one court, another person can file in another court, and another person can file in another court, and that would be perfectly legal. There is no need to file in all the same courts. General rule for cyber libel, you have to file in the place of your residence. So if the people who are libeled have different residences, then they will be filing in the cities where they have residences. Orly says, mahina yung audio. Does anybody else confirm this? Basta ako nagsasabi, pangit ako bag. It's over long, yeah. You know what, I really don't like insulting a person for his or her physical attributes, even if they do that to me. Because, number one, mataas ang self-esteem ko. So you can say anything about how I look and I won't feel bad about it because, you know, I don't care. So, Attorney TP also mentioned that Jover might be put into a similar situation with Matobato na mas-sneak out palabas ng bansa. Well, you know, TP has always been very good at making these sorts of educated guesses. So my money is on thinking Pinoy. Yes, it's a possibility. One, because she is possibly going to be facing a lot of libel cases for some of her very critical articles in her blog. Okay, yay, thank you, audio is good. Renka Domingo asks, any idea who will pursue the case against her? Sa senators kasi mukhang di nila ipupursue yun dahil babae siya, like Trillanes, pinababayaan na lang nila. I disagree. Senator Trillanes did file an actual case against Assistant Secretary Mocha Uson, regardless of gender. So I wouldn't dismiss the senators and think that they're not filing cases because, you know, gender, I think, is not going to matter at this point. Ken Iglesia Taki says, may magpapa-interview din ba from your camp, sa CNN or sa BBC? Well, we will see. We will see. I think that BBC, if it wants to be fair, will probably get the side of those who, well, it should, no? Either those who are libeled by the Pinoy Ako blog or representatives of those that she imagines she will possibly be filing cases against. So let's give BBC an opportunity to rectify that one-sided interview, and let's see what is going to happen if they get the side of either the government or Thinking Pinoy or Miss Sas Roganda Sasot. Hi. Also, she might ask for political asylum in another country. Don't you think dapat may hold order na siya? Okay, hold orders. First of all, you're not allowed. You get a hold order from a court, and you can get that when there is a case. So, if Ms. Laurio has a case filed against her, and it is already in court, in other words, it has finished to the prosecutor's office, probable cause has been found, the case is filed in the regional trial court. The regional trial court can issue an order upon the filing of a motion by the appropriate party, in this case the prosecution, can ask for a whole departure order against Ms. Laurio. When the case is still with the prosecutor's office and probable cause has not yet been found, then the complainant can ask for a watch list order to be issued by the DOJ. So at the moment, since no case has yet been filed, then the whole departure order would be inappropriate for Ms. Lowry at this time. Ipa-hold departure na yan. Amy Mezcaliado says, ipa-hold departure na yan, attorney, baka tumakas. Right now, without a case, you can't issue a hold departure order. Nell asks, if your attorney Gilbay and Jover is your client, what's your legal defense? Are you willing to accept or not given her circumstances?